Employees have their payroll taxes deducted by their employer, and they get a W-2 at the end of the year. Independent contractors or contract workers, they have to pay their own taxes, and they receive a 1099, something like this at the end of the year. We found thousands of folks are misclassified each year, and the government does little to stop it.
It's really expensive to survive here, and so you kind of hold on to the thing that's providing an income.
Finding affordability in Austin is already tough enough. Miriam Reek held on to a job last year that didn't pay.
And then in October, paychecks were having a hard time being cashed. The
business, Massage Harmony off Bee Caves Road, is bankrupt. Its doors are now closed. Miriam says she didn't get her last paycheck. So she reached out to the KVUE defenders after she saw our investigation into how the state handles unpaid wage claims with little power to collect. TWC ordered companies to pay about $55 million in more than 31,000 wage claims since 2013. But workers only got about $28 million, about half. But because her employer classified her as an independent contractor, Texas may not fight for Miriam at all.
Well, if you're a contractor and the employer has less direction and control over your work, if you're not being paid, the Texas Workforce Commission wage claim process does not have jurisdiction in that situation.
Miriam says she didn't have control of her work and believes Massage Harmony misclassified her as an independent contractor.
We never really had that freedom of a contractor type status.
The KVUE defenders obtained the 20-point test used by the Texas Workforce Commission to determine if a worker is due employee rights. We went through it with Miriam. A true independent contractor is the master of his or her own time.
That employee. If we had no clients, we had to be within 10 minutes of a return.
An independent contractor is normally paid by the job. Did you ever submit a bid?
Nope.
If you wanted to take a vacation?
If we wanted to take vacation, we had to file a notice or a letter to the management. Then we had to send an email out to other therapists asking them to fill our position.
But you were paid in regular stated intervals?
Yes. Biweekly.
She said she had to sign up for the same shifts each week. The Texas Workforce Commission can investigate whether she was misclassified, and the state has its own incentive for employees to be identified properly.
If an employee is misclassified, then we are not collecting the taxes on those wages, which supports unemployment benefits.
Records obtained by the KVUE defenders show TWC identified 51,517 misclassified workers last year alone. The companies owed Texas more than $10 million in unpaid taxes.
And we talk with both the Department of Labor and the Internal Revenue Service on a regular basis to share information.
But the Department of Labor and the IRS have their own problems investigating. This U.S. Treasury report shows no single agency is directly responsible for ensuring proper worker classification. And it's depriving Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance, and workers' compensation funds of billions of dollars. TWC will file liens on any company that owes money, but they don't always collect.
So it's increasingly something that is being exploited by certain employers to improve their bottom line.
Workers' rights advocate Stephanie Garrakanyan says a new rule created by state regulators could lead to more misclassifications.
Scan the QR code.
The TWC will allow digital companies like your scooters, ride sharings, and errands apps to bypass that 20-point employee test we talked about earlier.
Your rights on the job shouldn't be conditioned on how you find work. It should be conditioned by this baseline question of what degree of control do you have.
TWC's Director of Communications, Lisa Givens, issued a response saying in part, TWC remains committed to conducting case-by-case status determinations. Garrakanyan says more companies could adopt the digital business model, impacting people who are considered employees now.
We think that it will only further incentivize misclassification.
Miriam filed a claim with the IRS, hoping to avoid paying extra in federal payroll taxes.
It isn't that I wouldn't necessarily have the money to pay for that, but I don't feel like that was my responsibility.
If you think you're misclassified, we have a list of agencies you need to notify online. You could be missing out on employee protections. For the KVUE Defenders, Erica Proffer, KVUE News.